Hello and welcome to the Doctors Who podcast. My name is Chris, and today we're discussing chapters 17 and 18 of Robert Jordan's Eye of the World. Now, as Rand is in the common room listening to Tom tell of the great hunt of the Horn, he finds a strange man looking at him. Later finding out that it's a White Cloak spy, he soon encounters a Fade in the hallway of the inn. It paralyzes him with fear. He falls backward, but the Fade is scared off as Lan jumps down from the upper floor to save the day. Moraine and Lan realize that they have to leave immediately, so they gather everyone up in the middle of the night and they make for the gate where the White Cloaks intercept them. Now, Rand had an interaction with the White Cloaks earlier and they recognize him. However, Moraine decides to reveal herself as an Aes Sedai to secure their escape. On the road to Caemlyn, they encounter 3 to 5 fists of Trollocs, as well as several Fades. A battle ensues, the first battle for the Eamon Fielders, and Moraine is forced to use her Angreal to secure their escape. They flee, and they head to a city called Shadar Logoth, once called Aridhol, an ally of Manetheren. We're going to dive into the details right after this. Hello, as I said, my name is Chris.
And I'm Chip.
And I'm Brian.
We are the Doctors Who podcast, and we are covering chapters 17 and 18 of Robert Jordan's Wheel of Time, Book 1, The Eye of the World. All right, there is a lot happening in these chapters, so I think we will jump right in. Chip, you are up.
Yeah, so chapter 17, I kind of think about the Aes Sedai symbol, the yin and yang, that it's really, we've got 2 parts in this chapter where we've got the dance party where Rand finally gets his dance with Egwene, Tom's telling all his stories, and I think I mistakenly said in the last one that Tom was talking about the Great Hunt of the Horn. Well, it's in this chapter that he's actually telling that story, and he tells a number of other stories, and I said before, it's kind of like him, breaking the fourth wall and saying, hey, here's some important stuff that you ain't want to just file away for later. Then it kind of switches. So after they all leave the common room, Lan says, we need to leave early in the morning. Things are changing. Rand all of a sudden runs into a Fade down near the kitchens. Lan shows up to save the day. But the Fade didn't really even attack Rand. He just basically said, yeah, you're, the Dark One owns you, or something along that line. And then they have another run-in with the White Cloaks. I mean, there's just so much going on here. And then one of my favorite scenes in the book is coming up. So once they get to Shadar Logoth, which we won't cover tonight, but they do arrive there tonight. So.
Ooh, man, it's only 2 chapters, but it really, there was so much detail that went in there. And when the first chapter started there, I thought, all right, everything is going too well. The characters seem too comfortable. They're clearly having a good time at the dance, which I wonder if that harkened back to the I keep calling it the Maypole ceremony, but we can go back to that in a little bit here. But it seems like as soon as the characters get comfortable, they're forced out of whatever comfort they're in. And clearly there was that problem with the Fade in the hallway, and how on earth did he get there, and how did Lan not notice? So that kind of freaked me out. Lan was supposed to be able to sense these from a mile away, and how did this one slip by? But I like a lot of the detail here where, all right, let's get out of the city as quickly as possible, only to encounter, 500 Trollocs out in the field. So they all have survived one Trolloc attack, and now they're up against an army, literally the first real battle. It just had a lot of action. It had a lot of drama and intrigue. And I'm curious, Chip, this is not the first time you've said you're looking forward to Shadar Logoth, so I'm curious to see where this is going.
Shadar Logoth is actually like an exclusive resort, Brian.
Oh, fun. It's like a Hilton.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, in this one, there is a lot happening. I really liked Rand's interaction with the White Cloaks in the previous set of chapters we discussed, and he got away scot-free, but in this chapter we find out that no, he's kind of remembered, so that they might not be out of his life. So that's good, because I think they're big enough jerks that they make a really good enemy to read about anyway. And then the battle with the Trollocs was really, really interesting to me, because I thought Robert Jordan did a great job of building the suspense of the moment. You know, like the horns are behind them, then they're in front of them, then they're off to the side, and then just surrounding them. And, you know, like Rand is like listening to the horns and saying, okay, now they're 5 miles, now they're 2 miles, now. And so that part I thought was just well written and suspenseful. And then what Moraine is able to do with the power, fully. I mean, obviously she's got the Angreal to help her, but it really kind of illustrates for the reader what she's capable of when it comes to defending them against these creatures of the dark. You know, in the first couple chapters, when the Trollocs attacked the Two Rivers, we just heard about what she did afterwards. We didn't actually experience it. So to see it now, you know, in our mind's eye, kind of like really hits home that she's not really a force to be reckoned with. And then I thought it very interesting that after she performed this feat with the one power and she was just completely wiped, Nynaeve managed to convince her to take some herbs or some root or something to help with the fatigue. And like Nynaeve had like that smug satisfaction afterwards. She's like, yes, haha. So I enjoyed that as well. So, all right. Yeah. Okay. So, Chip, you mentioned the hunt for the horn, and yeah, when I was reading through this past time, you know, this is the first time I've really done it in like analysis mode, and it's like, yeah, everything that Tom is like telling there's some callback, and even like Moraine back in Eamon's Field telling the villagers about Manetherin, there's that comes back in these chapters too, because of Matt's battle cry. So all of these stories, you know, Rand and Matt and Perrin are always talking about, it's not like the stories. Well, the stories are actually helping to inform us, and in some cases provide some foreshadowing as to what might be happening and might be going on. Just not in the obvious ways you'd expect, but it's there. That's my thought. It's done. So feel free to jump in. Or I'll keep talking.
You're kind of on a roll, but I thought, again, I had to laugh at a couple different points, like when I think it was in chapter 16 or maybe even 15, when with the wisdom where Nynaeve was talking with Moraine, and Moraine was like, you can't protect Rand and Matt and Perrin from the Fades or the Trollocs or the Myrddraal, because Lan can have all of these abilities. And so I'm kind of wondering, like, at first I wondered if it was magic, if he could sense them, or if it was like whatever it was, but like this really seemed to be, it was unexpected. Like just when you kind of feel like, okay, Moraine and Lan have everything under control, and she obviously certainly has powers. We see it twice here in these couple chapters, but just the simple fact that they can still be caught unaware.
And there is a clue that is dropped in one of the previous chapters that we talked about last time as to how the Myrddraal may have found them.
Did I miss it? I probably did.
A blatant clue.
It's subtle. It's subtle and not, I mean, knowing where the story goes, I know, you know, I wouldn't have caught it my first time reading. I didn't catch it my first time reading it either, but knowing kind of where things go, it's like, ooh, that's how it found him.
Yeah.
So.
But now I wondered too if it had any significance, because I don't believe it appeared to either Matt or Perrin, and I'm wondering if it's just out of happenstance that it appeared just to Rand, or if it was planned.
That's a good question, because the only reason Rand ran into it was because he went back to the kitchens to get some milk or something before dinner or before bedtime.
So it could have just been coincidence, but
or not. I don't know.
That's a good question. There is a point in that, and you touched on it, Brian, that earlier in the book, Moraine says Lan can sense a Trolloc within a mile. She specifically mentions Trollocs, I think. So I don't know if, if a Fade is somewhat closer, he still has some ability to sense them. Clearly he does, because with all the clattering upstairs when it appeared to Rand, that Fade, I think, knew Lan was on his way. So, but yeah, it's, and I don't know if it's anything they ever explain, like what powers the warders have. I mean, they do to an extent, but like, is it through the bond with the Aes Sedai that he's granted some measure of being able to sense?
Yeah. And we haven't even really talked about the bond with the Aes Sedai.
Yeah.
No, I don't think we've really talked. Yeah, I don't think I know much about it at all, other than kind of what we talked about in prior episodes.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was something I wanted to touch on with the encounter with the White Cloaks. Let me go to that page real quick.
The White Cloaks.
Yeah, what's up with those guys? They seem like they're way too pompous for...
Oh, yeah. They're good antagonists.
Yeah.
But, it's about just, like, Lan's general demeanor and what he thinks of them. Because they're like, they're saying, the children of the light hold sway wherever men walk in the light. Only where the shadow of the dark one reigns are the children denied. And Jordan writes, the warder had not moved. In fact, he seemed completely at ease, but not many people could look at the children so uncaringly. Lan's stony face could have well been looking at a boot black. I don't know what a boot black is. When the White Cloak...
It's a shoe shine.
Well, there you go.
I looked it up.
Okay.
Nice.
But just like his super casual demeanor. I mean, it's the same that he had when they were crossing the ferry. I mean, he just was like casually like on his horse, but he still looked lethal. So that I remember reading that and just like, man, what would that look like? Like, I have an idea, but I want to look lethal while I'm casual.
Yeah, you've got like these 5 proud boys in front of you, and he's just like, whatever.
That's a good... Yes.
Sorry, I didn't mean to go there.
No,
but
that's good. The modern day children.
Yeah. In more ways than one.
Yes.
Oh.
Anyway. And then also, as they leave town, they notice that Master Fitch's inn is burning. At least they assume it is. And I had a question for the both of you. The group seems split. Several of them are like, Moraine should have gone back and helped. There could be people hurt. This was our fault. She's like, no, getting us out of here is the best course of action. Do you have feelings one way or the other? Did she make the right call? Did she not make the right call?
I have a feeling they paid Master Fitch well enough that he's probably going to be able to start something new. Based on the way he treated them, I think that he was pretty handsomely rewarded. But I do agree with her that, had they gone back to the inn, we may not have 14 books to read. It's
true.
Might have been much, much shorter.
But from a characterization standpoint, I tend to agree with her. I think it was the right move to get them out of town.
Yes. I do as well.
I am kind of intrigued, though, like what, and maybe this has already been answered, but what actually has led Moraine to take charge of these 3? like if she was just in the right place at the right time and saw the opportunity of, oh, we need to get these guys out of here, or if she was specifically tasked to do
It's
so.
in the
But
prequel.
There's a lot
uh
in the prequel. If you ever read
okay.
it,
Hmm.
she and another Aes Sedai did a lot of research and kind of, if I remember right, and it's been a long time since I read that one, but she basically had this hunch and came to this conclusion based on all these different things that she found that led her
Got it.
there. So she wasn't there by accident,
Right. Yeah. So, yeah.
Okay.
but that wasn't filled in for like what 10 or 15 years after
Oh,
this
yeah,
first book
yeah,
was written. So
yeah.
Wow.
It came out, I think, early 2000s, maybe.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's what I thought.
So, anyway.
Oh,
Um, and when they're on the road, Moraine calls Lan the last Lord of the Seven Towers, and
Harkens back to Min's
yes,
vision
where she sees
already.
7 rune towers around his head and a babe in a cradle holding a sword. So we're starting to get some hints that there's maybe more to Lan than just Warder. Like there's something, like he's got some
Yeah.
heritage or
hmm
something. Because, when you see 7 rune towers around somebody's head, that's generally not a good thing.
It's
no.
just kind of
Unless he's
odd.
Chip Gaines from Fixer Upper and he's going to demo day or something. But
Could be.
that's the most fun of that show, to be honest.
Yeah. He's
You mean
Chip
Chip?
South.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I was Chip
that's
before
true.
he was.
Can we call him Chip
A couple
2.0?
years older.
Is that okay?
We call him
Chip
Chip
South.
South.
I like it. Chip South. Yeah.
Chip's out.
Yeah.
And then they
I like
also
it.
come to the conclusion that there are 3 to 5 fists of Trollocs, and I don't know that they ever go into.
Is that like
That's what I'm
100
thinking,
or
because like
so?
Moraine said there are like 500 Trollocs
Oh yeah.
and probably a fade
hmm
for each fist. So
Yeah. And is there a tie between the Fades and the Fist and all the Trollocs? Because I thought when Lan killed the one Fade or beheaded it, that the Trollocs,
the
they started behaving
yes,
differently and
so the fade basically without the fade like
commands or controls.
controlling that fist, the Trollocs are basically unfocused. So as soon as it died, that link was
Yeah,
severed, and they just kind of went bananas and
that's
ran off
that's
into
kind
the
of what I thought
wilderness. So
too.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah, so here's when the fists finally catch up to them, and they have at least one battle with one. I don't remember how many they actually fought, but this is where we start to get the whole, Rand shouts Manetheren, and Perrin says the same thing, and then
Oh yeah.
Matt starts, speaking in an older tongue, and what was it Karai and Kaldazar?
Cry and
So
Elisande, all Elisande,
Mm-hmm.
yeah,
for the
Oh
house
yeah.
of the Red
Yep.
Eagle, for the honor of the Rose of the Sun, the Rose of the Sun. And Moraine,
so now we hear about the Red Eagle, which was another of Min's visions.
yep,
It's,
Yes.
already, the seeds are being planted that something's
and
different
the
about Matt.
sigil of Manetheren as well, the Red Eagle.
Mm-hmm.
So
Well,
Mm.
and this is where Rand starts to think, well, gosh, if Matt's shouting that kind of stuff, maybe Matt's the one that the Dark One's after.
pretty please. Yeah.
Yeah.
But this is also cool because now, like, most of this like mystery has been like, we've got mysteries about Rand, and now we're starting to get an inkling that there's something special about Matt as well. And I think it does two things. It opens the possibility to the reader that, is it Rand or is it Matt? We thought it was Rand because the focus has been on him, but now Matt's doing these things. And then also,
Mhm.
they're obviously the 3 main characters of the book and the series, and if each of them have compelling things that are happening to them, I mean, you're weaving narratives on top of narratives on top of narratives, and plots on plots and plots and things like that. So it feels more fleshed out. It feels like it's a real place, because rarely in the real world does just one thing happen at once. So I think this is great how this is just starting to get leaked in, and obviously I know what's coming, and I'm not saying what's coming, Brian. But
Thank you.
You start to get the inkling here that, hey, something's wonky with Matt. Not wonky in a bad way, but
Yeah, but I mean, we also get the seeds planted from men in the prior chapters. You know that there's stuff about Perrin too, with a broken crown and some other things that you know we assume that we'll start to find a wolf and stuff. You know that we'll find out more about Perrin as the story goes on too. You know, maybe this is just Matt's turn to kind of have some reveals happen, but each of them are important in different ways. We know that because they wouldn't be the three main characters in the book.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Right.
The I had something I was gonna say, but it's gone. So yeah, after Moraine does her one power magic and the earth breaks apart and flames shoot out and basically creates a wall, they're able to escape, because it was looking before she did that like they were just going to get overrun, which also would have made a 14-book series like a third of a book series. But
well, didn't she say too that weaving fire and earth was harder for her, so she used the Angreal to help channel that, but that isn't necessarily her specialty.
No,
was it?
it's
Or
not,
what she
and those
most
are
skilled
usually
in?
the elements
She's like,
that men are better with than the women.
And
that's what I thought.
She could do water though.
Yeah.
Yeah, spirit or water and air.
But this is straight up Captain Planet stuff, guys.
Oh, or that
Or
might
Avatar,
age some
The
of our
Last
viewers.
Airbender.
I don't know.
Captain Planet, he's a hero.
Yeah. I think it's more Last Airbender.
Oh yeah, I like,
because they had water weavers, fire weavers, spirit
Wonder
weavers.
if that inspiration came
I-
from what Jordan put together.
it's possible.
So, anyway,
Just gonna
Or
shout out
since
Prince
it's kind of
Zuko
drawn
on
more on
that.
Asian influences, maybe Jordan drew from
that could
similar
be
Asian.
too. Yeah.
Could be.
So basically, at the very tail end of this, they escape to a place where Moraine doesn't want to go, but she feels
That land knows that they have no other choice.
yeah.
Really,
And
at this point,
I drew a parallel back to Fellowship of the Ring, where Gandalf didn't want to go to Moria, but they really had no choice. So, and it formerly called Aridhol, was an ally of Manetheren, is now this abandoned, crumbling ruin of a city. So next time we will get to see what's going on with one of Chip's favorite sections in this book.
I can't wait to see how they do this in the show.
It's going to be cool. Yeah.
I hope you enjoy it, Brian. Hopefully, I haven't built it up too much, but it's one of those. There's scenes from each book that just stand out to me, and this is one of the ones from this book that just like I always remember it when I think of the book.
Brian's going to read it, and he's going to put the book down. He's going to be like, "This was it?
This
was what you were talking about?
Huh?
Come on.
What do you?"
Don't let Michelle see us.
I won't do
around though.
Oh no, I'll do it only when she's not around.
Fair enough. Okay. So next time, chapters 18 and 19, right, guys?
No, 19 and 20.
19 and 20.
Oh,
yeah,
19 and 20.
Yep.
I think we're about a third of the way through. So.
Yep. So.
Yeah. Maybe a little over a third.
Yeah, we are.
So we're getting there. Yes, join us next week as we cover chapters 19 and 20. Thank you for watching. Please click the like button if you liked what you saw. We also invite you to use the subscribe button and the notification bell so that when we do post new content, you are notified. As always, we do invite you to also use the comments section, because we'd love to carry our conversations on with you past the confines of this episode. We look forward to seeing you next week. Thank you very much, and in the meantime,
Alonzi.